All right guys, welcome back to the channel. We're working on the rat rod again. We're doing some more engine work on it. We got all of our parts from Speedmaster, our awesome new sponsor, but here's what I'm doing. So I got this nice harmonic balancer, damper, whatever, but as you can see, it's only got one keyway. And you guys know on my last setup, I did a double keyway on the crankshaft. So this is our broaching tool. I'm gonna go ahead and put this keyway in to match with that. So I'll just set that in here. There you go. So that matches with the keyway. It's all locked in. Now we'll grab this piece right here. This is what cuts the key inside. You can see it's all sitting in there. We'll cut the keyway. This will go down, and I'll press this in with the arbor press. I won't be able to do this with one hand, so I'm going to go ahead and get this all set up with two hands. I'll show you what it looks like after. Now you can tell I got a double keyway in my balancer. That's going to give us a lot more support when we have that blower on there. All right guys, a little update. So after I got the balancer put on with the double keyway, I wanted to check and make sure my pump wasn't going to hit the balancer. So it was, but I kind of went in there and cleaned it up. I might hit it a little bit better to clean that up, but I'm just kind of mocking everything up, getting my blower pulley on here, got my crank support over there. So I'm gonna go ahead and get everything put on, get my crank support on, and just make sure everything's gonna fit how I want it to, and go from there. But she's getting pretty in depth. You can see why I want the crank support. You can see how far out everything sits. So I'm gonna probably have to move this pump and turn it sideways and have these come out this way and that way, because I don't think it's gonna clear. You know, I don't know if I could do that either because the belt's right there. So we might have a problem here. We might have to get a longer extension. What's going on guys? Right now I'm using a lathe at work and making a crank support spacer right now. So I'm drilling out the center for the bolt, going through here. I'm going to make these 960 thousandths long. I'll kind of show you some more details here when we get this drilled out. This is the first piece that I made right here. The front cover that is made at LME has a recess in the cover for like a flange bolt to go and sink into, but the fact that I need to put spacers in between my crank support and the motor, I needed to recess this, so I made this perfect diameter to fit into the front cover, and then this is going to space it out just enough to get the crank support on the perfect spot for the crank itself. So we need to make 4 more of these bad boys, and then we'll go into the assembly room and kind of show you where we're putting them. Just finished up with these spacers here. You can see we got them all in. I did a nice little chamfer on here so that they don't hit on the cover. You can see the chamfer on this one's a lot more aggressive, but went through, made it smaller so it fits in the recess of the front cover. We have another one over here so you can kind of tell that these have recesses in them. This one's not as deep. The recess on that one is not as deep as this cover. This cover has a lot deeper recess. So machine those down. Put a nice chamfer on there so it didn't hit the inside of the cover. Got my nice timing pointer in there from Motion Raceworks. Everything else is kind of set up. Just got my fittings from Flow Supply for the fuel system. Got my line over there, PTFE line for, you know, methanol. And we are getting my dry sump figured out. This is the Motion Raceworks Fluid Works 5-stage pump. I'm going to run this with our LME dry sump pan. Our dry sump pan right here. It's got a nice area right here for when the crank spins around and slings all the oil in here. And then you got your 3 scavenge ports in the pan itself. So that's pretty nice to have. So I'm gonna have the pan obviously there. I'm gonna have 3 scavenges out of that pump directly to the pan. And then when the heads and everything are on here, I'm gonna run two ports off the back of the head and wire that together to go to the last scavenge section. And I'm gonna be pulling oil from the top. That way we have plenty of drain back, and then we'll have a nice oil tank on the front of the rat rod that this all goes to and vents out properly. And that should hopefully keep everything from coming out or having a mess in my catch can. And you know, it's going to be the proper oiling for an engine that's seeing this RPM and it's getting thrown around how it is. So, and then obviously our LME front cover here gives you the -12 right off the front cover. Just uses factory gaskets, nothing special. Pretty awesome cover there that I'm super excited to run. It also lets you run a cam driven fuel pump. Super awesome all the way around. And then of course, this is black anodized crank support from Joe Blow Speed Shop over in Australia. So this crank support needed a little bit of work here. I had to build the spacers for it and everything. That's kind of what we were doing today. But it's definitely the easiest crank support to use for an LS. The RCD Components makes one, but you have to use their front cover and it's really expensive. This wasn't too bad. This is only $600 versus using the RCD, which was about the same price, $650, but you had to buy their front cover, which was $2,500. It had the gear drive and everything. It just got ridiculous. This front cover, $600 for this, and it was a great setup. If you're not trying to run the cam drive, Joe Blow actually has a front cover that has a crank support in it, but I opted for the one that comes out here. Got the rat rod. It looks a little cooler in my opinion. I think if you can support it on the end of the crank, it's a little bit stronger. That's just my opinion. I might not be right. Just do without what you think. But anyway, the short block is all complete. We're just waiting on heads from Hooper. Once we get those on, we can start getting the blower and everything stacked up on here. On a completely separate video on just the blower of this thing. Speedmaster came on board. Very excited to have them as a partner for the 2024 season. They came on board with the 871, but we'll go into that a little bit later in a separate video. I want to give them a full video on the entire blower setup because everything that they gave is truly amazing, and I want to go through and do every piece. I want to go through and show every piece that they provided on this engine. It's going to be amazing this year. I can't wait to be blown on the rat rod. We've been wanting to be blower for so long, and I feel like this is the correct way to do it. Have LME's level of engine with a blower. I think that's the best way to do it. So I'm excited. Can't wait to run this thing. But for now, we're gonna end off the video. Appreciate you watching. See you next time.